For 2 decades, I poured my heart and soul into my marriage, believing that love meant putting my partner's needs before my own. Over time, I barely recognized the woman in the mirror. My dreams, hobbies, and even my laughter faded into the background as I focused on being the perfect spouse. It's easy to lose sight of yourself when you're constantly trying to keep the peace and make things work. Looking back, I realize how quietly my own identity slipped away, replaced by routines and responsibilities that left little room for me. This is the story of how I found my way back. It wasn't a single moment that woke me up, but a series of small realizations. I noticed I no longer had opinions on things I once cared about. Friends drifted away and my world shrank to the size of my living room. The final straw was a quiet evening when I couldn't answer a simple question: what do you want? That question echoed in my mind for days. I realized I had no idea who I was outside of my marriage. This was the turning point that made me determined to rediscover myself, no matter how long it took. Change is terrifying, especially after years of routine. I was afraid of what people would think, afraid of being alone, and afraid I might fail. But I realized that staying stuck was even scarier. I started small, journaling my feelings, taking walks by myself, and reconnecting with old friends. Each step felt awkward at first, but slowly I began to feel a spark of excitement. The fear didn't disappear overnight, but I learned to move forward despite it, trusting that I could handle whatever came next. I carved out time for myself. I started to remember the things that once brought me joy. I dusted off my old sketchbook, picked up a novel, and even tried cooking new recipes. These small acts felt like reclaiming lost pieces of myself. I realized how much I had missed being creative and curious. Each rediscovered passion added color back into my life, reminding me that I was more than just a spouse. I was a whole person with dreams and interests of my own. Learning to set boundaries was one of the hardest but most important lessons. I realized that saying yes to everything had left me exhausted and resentful. I began to practice saying no even when it felt uncomfortable. At first, it was met with confusion and sometimes resistance, but over time, people adjusted. Setting boundaries gave me the space to breathe and focus on my own needs. It was a powerful step toward reclaiming my sense of self and building healthier relationships. Years of putting myself last had chipped away at my confidence. I started to challenge negative self-talk and celebrate small victories. Whether it was speaking up in a group or trying something new, each success built my self-esteem. I surrounded myself with supportive people who encouraged my growth. Slowly, I began to trust my instincts and believe in my abilities again. Confidence isn't built overnight, but with patience and persistence, I started to feel strong and capable. As I grew, my relationships changed. Some friendships deepened while others faded away. I learned to surround myself with people who respected my boundaries and supported my journey. My relationship with my spouse also shifted. Honest conversations became more frequent, and I stopped pretending to be someone I was. Redefining my relationships meant letting go of what no longer served me and making space for connections that nurtured my true self. The first time in years, I started making decisions for myself. I traveled alone, tried new activities, and managed my own finances. Each independent step was both liberating and empowering. I discovered that I was capable of so much more than I had ever imagined. Embracing independence did mean I stopped caring about others. It meant I finally cared about myself too. This newfound freedom became the foundation for a happier, more authentic life. Looking back, I don't regret the years I spent in my marriage, but I do wish I had held onto myself a little tighter. Today, I feel more alive and fulfilled than ever before. I've learned that it's never too late to start over and that reclaiming your identity is a journey worth taking. My story isn't about blame, it's about growth, resilience, and the courage to choose yourself. If you've ever felt lost in a relationship, know that you can always find your way back.